AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds, all the time.
The Tush push is here to stay.
Push it real good. Bam, bam,
That would have been a good thing to do. Start off with that, but as I did this, I put the title "Tush Push Here to Stay 2025," and then I added in there 22 NFL teams can suck it because it was a 22-10 vote. So originally, back at the original owner meetings 2 months ago, I think in March, it was 16-16. Yeah. So 6 teams were swayed, and I want to get into it with your guys because there's a lot here to kind of go over. With the Eagles bringing Jason Kelce to kind of talk about it because there were some falsely accused. Basically, they were saying he retired because he got hurt. And it was because of the Tush push that is the reason that he retired, because of getting hurt and stuff like that. And he wanted to set the record straight on that. I know Jeffrey Lurie spoke for a while, which we know with the press conferences, when Jeffrey Lurie starts talking, he can go and go and go, which he did. But first and foremost, of course, Chip and Matt are joining me as always. But we're going to do a little Tush push drama here. Well, no more drama because it's
no more drama. Mary J. Blige, no more drama.
Matt wants to dive in on this. He was messaging me about it. He's got some.
There's so many things I want to say because I think we are in the weirdest era of football that I've experienced from a rules perspective, because there's no rhyme or reason. Nothing makes sense. Like, player safety is under consideration for the Tush push and not for other things. There's all sorts of hypocrisy. It's a bunch of hurt feelings and a bunch of whiny little bitch franchises that don't know how to stop it. So they want to take their ball and they want to go home. Right. And so, like, let's look at the list of people that voted to ban it. And you tell me if you're surprised or not. Cowboys.
Nope.
Giants.
Nope.
Commanders.
Nope.
Frankie Louvu's still jumping over a pile. Bengals.
Bengals don't any which way.
The biggest one for me that surprised me was the Steelers.
Yeah, because they talk about physicality as a franchise, as a team. They're a physical team, yet.
Right. And like tradition, back to the roots. Yeah. Packers, we already know they're a bunch of bitches. Vikings, soft. Bears, soft. The entire NFC West, which we already knew the Rams were bitching about it. The Seahawks kind of surprised me. The Niners don't. Gannon being a little bitch doesn't surprise me. The Bills surprised me only because they run it, but McDermott and how hotly he
made that.
Whatever. The Bucks kind of surprised me because, again, they're physical. They have.
But again, these are defensive teams that can't stop it. So why not just try to stop it through the rule book?
Yeah. Panthers, Falcons, Texans, Colts, Steichen, you're dead to me. The Chiefs, Andy's been dead to me. Broncos, Raiders, Chargers. So, like,
let me ask you this, because a lot came out today with Lurie speaking, and apparently there was conversations and arguments. How much? Because going into today, I was almost convinced that it was going to get banned. How much do you think that Kelce speaking swayed things?
I would think that it had
because Kelce was saying flat out, he goes, "Yeah, I would come back in the NFL and run it 60 more times. Like, it's not a physically demanding play."
Right. And I think that's fair. I think it's fair for him to squash the rumors that it's dangerous for the center. I would say, just as a a former defensive player that's been on primarily goal line situations. Like that's how I got my start. Like I would say that the brunt of the injury concern is probably on the defensive side, right? Because the offense knows when they're going, they know they're getting low. The defense has to fire out twice as hard and get twice as low if they can. I do see the argument that there could be injury concerns, but there's no data. There's no data to do it, to back it up. And Kelsey going out there and saying, listen, dude, that's not why I retired. I retired because I, broke my arm trying to do a reach block
and I have 46 children now and I'm really good on TV.
And what do you think pulling as a center power does to you? You think that's any less safe or any safer than a 1 yard push? No. Like people are jumping on top of him. He probably has more of a concern of suffocating than he does actually hurting himself on that play. But I think it sounded like Laurie was super animated too, which he normally is not. He's usually a very reserved.
Yeah, he made a weird comment.
He made some sexual comments, which is kind of weird. The wet dream.
Yeah, I don't really imagine Jeffrey Lurie as a sexual comment kind of cat.
Yeah, but it also didn't surprise me at the same time.
You're gonna see people coming up with shirts with his face and then wet dream.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Boys wet dream and tush push on the back.
Yeah. Ugh. Bad context. So I think a lot of that had to. I think
the AAT store.
I think it did have something to
Leo.
do.
I shouldn't go there. Maybe.
I think it did have something to do with it, but I do think at the same time, it was going to be this way regardless. Like I don't think anybody was swayed by Kelsey's talking, but I don't.
I'll tell you what. I was convinced it was gone.
I mean, it almost was.
This morning when they come out and they say that the players committee and the health and safety board or whatever has voted to ban it, then I'm like, okay, well then the owners they're gonna go that way. And the way that you look at it is the reason they tabled it was so then they can basically talk more to sway the voters. And another thing that I saw was the Green Bay Packers, who were the ones who proposed this, they don't have a owner. Like they have a president and a CEO and stuff like that. They don't have an owner. The owners are the fans. They all have minority ownership in the team. So a lot of people are saying that Roger Goodell reached out to them because it won't be on one owner of saying if the Bills were the ones to do it, then it's that owner's, what's his agenda towards it. If it's the Packers, there's no owner. It's the league saying they want it done. And that's what Roger Goodell, he wanted it banned. But to me, what's the funny part of it is you want to ban it and you want to say health and safety. But we have how many players playing on artificial turf, which is worse for your knees, causes more injuries. Where's the health and safety when it comes to that?
Well, and what are they going to bitch about when we line up Ty Robinson, Jordan Davis, and Jordan Mailata in the backfield and just beat the shit out of people?
No, and Anthony saying he thought the tush push being banned was a certainty, but he's glad he was wrong. Hey, but the thing was, Anthony didn't delete tweets saying about being banned and stuff like that, like Diana Rossini, who tweeted about it saying that it's most likely gone. And then if you go back, you can't find that tweet now. So just own up. And some people are, some people are saying they're glad they're wrong and they're fessing up to it. It's just funny. I just thought that was pretty comical when I saw that today as well.
As you can tell, I'm so fired up about this. I think it's the dumbest stuff. It's such chicken shit behavior by most of the league, and it's really disappointing. I wouldn't have. We talked about this earlier. I wouldn't have cared if they banned it. I'd be a little disappointed because it's chicken shit. But that's not. I'm not pissed because we're gonna lose because of it. Our offensive identity, despite what the rest of the fans of the NFL think, does not revolve around the tush push.
So what I would think would be pretty funny is this. So the first time the Eagles go to do the tush push this season, what if they just did a regular, they lined up in the tush push, but just did a regular quarterback sneak and didn't push him, and he still gets it. It would, to me, that would be hey, look, you can ban it next year, that's fine, but this is what we're going to do, and we'll still be able to get it done. And it's what they did in 2022. If you look at now, the Eagles did post on YouTube 26 minutes worth of tush push, which I thought was classic.
The pettiness of this organization has been top notch.
It was pretty good.
I'm not going to go with petty. I'm going to go with social media creativity.
I like that. I like that angle towards it. But like, if you look at the early in the 2022, like they did that, but there was really no pushing of Jalen Hurts. He just snuck and got the yard or half a yard or whatever it may be. So like they don't need to do it, but again, they've perfected it. And I know there was a lot of talk, with Jeffrey Lurie and everything and Jason Kelsey on how they prepare for it, how they put the safety measures into it, and how it's all prepared and how they've, really redefined that play. And a lot of people say, well, it's the aesthetic of the play. It's not the good. Listen, not every play is going to be a 50, 60-yard bomb or a touchdown or like there's plays all throughout. If you take a look at the extra point, that's boring. If you take a look at the onside kick now, again, they changed the rule with the onside. You move 1 yard closer and do it anytime you're trailing. Okay. But like, that's not a fun play. Punting the ball isn't it's the football. It's the game of football. You're going to have what you're going to have. Like and
if there's a play that's the closest to the roots of the game,
it's
like
that play.
If you really want to talk about like the preservation of the heart and the soul of the game, the tush push is closer to what the game was at its inception in the late 1800s than it is now. Than the Hail Mary. Like the forward pass was created way after that. So like I don't know. The whole discourse.
The whole thing was stupid. And again, the fact that everybody was trying to get it banned simply because they couldn't stop it was the most moronic part of all of it.
So another funny thing that I saw on social media was, so the Raiders were one of the teams that voted against to ban it.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Well, they put out a push on video. It's like, but your ownership voted to ban it. Why are you? I said, oh, okay. At first I thought they were one to vote to not ban it until I looked and I saw they were one to ban. So I thought that was interesting. But no, it's going to be, and it's pretty interesting that essentially every single team the Eagles play this year, except for the Lions, voted.
What's funny is it's almost every team we played last year. Right. Which I'm sure had something to do with that. I'm sure it was a lot of like recency bias. Like, hey, that was really annoying,
But yeah, Jeffrey Lurie dropped the mic and said, if you ban it, we still go out Super Bowl winners anyway. Like it's like
it's a teenage boy's wet dream.
We still put 55 points up in the NFC Championship, and I don't. Other than that one tush push, I don't think we did. I don't know. The whole thing's stupid. I'm glad it's over. It's definitely gone next year.
You think? You think they're going to go through this whole thing again?
I do. I think Goodell will keep going until he gets what he wants. I think that's who he is.
And they're going to revise it to being like the pushing from behind. So you can't push from behind anywhere on the field. They're going to revise it to that. So then it's not essentially the push, but the tush push. They're going to just no pushing anybody on the field, offensive players pushing anybody. So that's the way that they're going to do that. So
that would take like 50 touchdowns off the table.
Yeah.
From last year alone.
That's just, they're going to try and do what they're, to me, it's just like, you're trying to like, and I mentioned this too. It's like, you take a look at the world and, especially the younger generation, and you take a look at when something doesn't work or something is not right, or, they're not able to do something. It's get rid of it.
That's
let me do something. Let me do something
That's
else.
a great point.
But it's Chip, you would, you work, you umpire, so you see a lot of the younger generation, and you do teach. So I'm just, in my eyes,
I'm saying like that's a really good point where, rather than people persevere and try to solve a problem and push through and do, like, they just go, no. Like, my favorite as a teacher is when we're not allowed to give a grade lower than a 50. Right? So, yes. So if a kid turns in no work for an entire marking period, they get a 50%.
Wow.
It's a sweet deal.
What does that teach? What does that teach anybody? This to me is very reminiscent of that. Nobody can stop it, so let's just change the rule because it's not fair. Shut up.
You got to figure out, like life is about figuring out ways to, clear obstacles, if you want to say that. It's like I always bring up to my kids, well, the 3-year-old hears me and doesn't hear me. So, but my 9-year-old, like what I'll say is, don't be a problem creator, be a problem solver.
That's cute.
And if you're going to create problems, make sure you know how to try to solve them. Like,
yeah,
it's figure it out. Like figure out how to do it. There's teams that have stopped it. There's teams like it's not 100%. It's guaranteed, but they're good at it.
Look at both of our teams that won the Super Bowl and the adversity that they had to overcome in both of those instances, right? The first one was a little different because we got devastated by injuries, right? Yeah. We lose Carson, we lose Jordan Hicks, we lose JP, we lose Sproles. We lost a lot of core leaders on that team and still found a way to win with a backup quarterback, right? Like that's the most Philly thing ever. And then this year, coming off of one of the most epic collapses in probably my Eagles watching career, right? Watching a team coming off a Super Bowl loss that was hungry, that was ready to go, 11 straight wins or 10 straight wins, whatever it was, and then they just completely shit the bed, right? Clear house, brand new coordinators, a lot of rookies, a lot of young guys playing, and then boom, Super Bowl. Like there's a lot to be said about the teams that win, overcoming adversity. Obviously, there's some luck that has to go into that, but the teams that work the hardest, that can overcome adversity, are the ones that 90% of the time they're the ones that are going to win, and that's why we win, and that's why the soft little bitches are going to continue to lose.
Case in point, talking about adversity. Take a look at the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Went to a high program, was benched. Somebody else took his job. And national championship. Like, and then he had to come in and play in a conference championship, and then he didn't play the national. Like, there's levels to this, of course.
I mean,
but
listen,
take a look at the quarterback and what he's done and how he talks and how he speaks, and like, it's about this year now. He doesn't care about the Super Bowl. It's about this year. And like, to me, and I know people don't want to give the comparison, but like, he's part of the Jordan brand, and he tries to take as much, and he even mentioned that, part of this brand and stuff, he takes as much as he can talking with Michael about, about the sports and about winning and all that kind of stuff. And he's going to take every little bit that he can and every little thing that he can to get better. And I think it was John Beck, one of the quarterbacks coaches, like a quarterback guru or whatever, was on a podcast talking about Jalen and how he's taking the little things and trying to get better, whether it's the release a little bit quicker and all these things that he just, every year tries to get even better at his craft.
Yeah.
It shows you what kind of player he is, what kind of person he is. And, the way he takes this game and the way serious, like, it is what he wants to do. And what he wants to do is win. That's all that matters. Not what the numbers look like. He wants to win. And what he's done.
It's the whole organization too. It's not just the quarterback. Look at Howie.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, if anybody has overcome adversity, it's Howie. And his ability to adapt and survive has been incredible.
We talk about that on this show a lot, Matt, where it's, when they were hiring Nick Sirianni, we were calling for Howie's absolute skull.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, everybody was. So the fact that he has now come to this point where he is the elite when it comes to GMs in this league.
Yeah. Well, and Sirianni, for a nice little segue, right? Like Sirianni.
Oh, well done.
You like that? Sirianni has overcome adversity too. In week 5, you couldn't turn on WIP, you couldn't turn on Good Morning Football, you couldn't turn on anything without them talking about how Sirianni collapsed at the end of 2023. He looks like the same old shit going into week 5. We have a week 5 bye, and then they go on an absolute tear and win a Super Bowl. Like, after that Flower conversation 3 years ago or whatever it was, people were like, dude, his introductory press conference, man, this guy's an idiot. Pat McAfee says, a big dumb dipshit. Like, everyone wanted him gone. They thought he was a one and done. And then he just continues to prove his doubters wrong, just like this quarterback, just like the GM, and just like everyone else on this team now, as like a trickle down culture. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Sorry. So it was absolutely, my part of this is you were already starting to hear the whispers of, well, you know, are they going to let him go into training camp without a contract and without renewing him? And they just squashed all of that. This is our coach. He is a Super Bowl winning coach. He is a Super Bowl appearing coach. He has changed the culture. He is a player's coach. And you remove the distractions, right? A couple of seasons ago, every week we had material for shows because there was distractions and leaks and you name it. Yeah. I like that this is the more – it's like when you're younger and you're in toxic relationships and you think that's the norm, and then you get like older and married and settled and everything's good, right? A couple of years ago, the Eagles were in a toxic relationship where they had their drama all the time and they thought it was norm. No, now it's everything's good, clean, and healthy where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
No, it's, you know, the whole Nick Sirianni thing was like a lot of talk after the collapse was like, should he be the coach? And, you know, you had a lot of conversations and, you know, I was back and forth on, you know, thinking about it. And then essentially I just said, you know what, you have to give him another year because of the track record. Like, you can't just get rid of, because what does that show you to try to get other candidates in the building? It doesn't show you anything if you're that quick to get rid of somebody. So like, okay, give it. And then after, you know, week 3, you know, you start hearing like, it's just, they're not playing that well, everything. But again, Nick was able to turn it around, press the right buttons, get the team believing, and then off they went. And that's key, especially as a head coach, especially as a, you know, he doesn't call the offensive plays. So we know that. He's not the offensive coordinator. He doesn't call the plays, but he is the coordinator of the whole team. He's got to run the show. He's got to be and there are plenty of coaches that do that. You know, we've talked about it numerous times early in the season on, you know, the other teams that have those type of executive head coaches. But to me, Sirianni rose to another level, got Super Bowl victory. He is enshrined in Philadelphia Eagles lore for what he did. Same with Doug Peterson, of course. But, like, you know, Nick Sirianni is just he's coaching at just a different level. These teams, they're so poised, and the way that they're being built and the way that they're being structured is they are on such another level. And look, they bring back Joe Douglas after losing 2 high-profile scouts. So that's pretty tough to the Vegas Raiders. They took 2 guys who are, you know, pretty high-level guys. They got Joe Douglas back. So that's you know, just as long as he's not, you know, pressing the buttons on telling him exactly who to draft. But
I don't know about that. I give him the benefit of the doubt, Douglas. Your sign broke.
Look at that. That's pretty cool.
I give him the benefit of the doubt, Joe Douglas, because he walked into the Jets, right? He walked into an organization where they didn't want to sign a player because his Madden rating wasn't high enough for.
So Woody Johnson definitely. He's would have been the big factor in that,
right? So, like, I give Joe Douglas the benefit of the doubt that he still drafted Sauce, he still drafted Wilson, right? He still drafted all those edge rushers, right? He brought in Aaron Rodgers, which at the time I thought was going to be a good move. He's built a hell of a defense over there. So, like, I don't want to kill Joe Douglas because of his tenure at the Jets. Because if you look at him with the Ravens, if you look at him with the Eagles, he has a hell of a track record. So
I think his talent evaluation is fine.
Yeah.
But I think like he's good at evaluating talent, which is really in reality what he's going to be doing here.
That's it. Yeah. Well, and even if he could evaluate the talent and wanted to make a decision, if he's overruled by Woody Johnson every 10 seconds because his Madden rating's not high enough, like that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like that's an actual, for folks who don't know, he wanted to bring in a player and Woody Johnson's grandson looked him up on Madden and didn't think his Madden rating was high enough, so they didn't sign that player.
And again, that's why the Jets made the playoffs in how many years?
But anyway,
I think you're missing a golden opportunity here that Joe Douglas got, stopped by Woody Johnson because he kept giving him a hard time. Missed opportunity.
Gotcha.
It's like a teenage boy's wet dream.
There you go. All right, just pull the plug. It's over.
It's over, guys.
No,
that's our time. I've been great.
I've got a trivia question that Chip cannot answer because this was already brought up. I'm not sure if I told you it, Matt. So you may get it. I may have told you. I don't think I did though. Okay. But it's a fun trivia question here. It's a very tough one because you got to really think about it.
7.
So, former Colts kicker, Mike Vanderjagt.
Yeah.
He played with the Colts, played in the CFL. He played with the Cowboys. He did wear an Eagles uniform. He did put on an Eagles uniform, helmet, everything like that. But he never played a game with the Eagles. How did he do that? Mind you, this was also before he played it down in the NFL, I believe. Yes, it was. So it was actually, he may have been just with the Colts at that point, or just in that season right before the Colts. So,
Which was what year?
I believe it was either 90 in the late 90s.
I'd say, was he an extra in a movie?
Listen,
was he
the garbage picking Philadelphia phenomenon?
Yeah.
Chip, I told you not to answer it.
I just answered it.
He said it already.
I literally said it at the same time.
Okay.
He said about being an extra in a movie.
And then I said trash can kicker.
There you go. Well, I
just wanted to say Philadelphia trash, whatever. I messed up the title this time, but Philadelphia field goal kicking trash can.
Is that Tony
Danza?
Yeah.
He was the extra.
Boom.
In the field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon.
There's more to that title. You got to get it right.
Nailed it.
So I thought that was a fun little.
That is good.
That's a really good question to bring up that a lot of people probably won't get. But I thought I'd bring that up so we round out the show.
We'll start bringing that out at parties.
There you go. And then have people just walk away from you because they think you're crazy.
Yeah. Who the?
Tony Danza was an Eagle?
Wait, when did Tony Danza play for the Colts?
Should I hold him closer like Tony Danza?
Hold me
closer, Tony Danza.
Don't quit your day job, Chip.
I won't. Aha.
Yo.
Aha.
But that'll bring us to an end here. So next week, I think we're going to do the grid, unless any other news somehow comes out. Again,
we'll have some OTA news as well, I think. Or at least some updates if anything notable happens.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff, but I think I want to do the grid this week. And then we still have to do our quarter century team. That's going to be fun. So just a couple things in the future and more to come because the summer is starting to roll around getting into June and July where you have OTAs and training camp coming and then preseason, then voila, season starts.
You're going to be live from training camp or what?
If it was at Lehigh, he would be.
Yeah, exactly. If it was at Lehigh, we would be. But
you know what? I'll have to think up some family friendly stories from when I worked at Lehigh with the Eagles that I can tell.
it will have to be family friendly.
That's fair. I did say bitch like 19 times today.
But again, you have to make sure that you're not really revealing certain former players and stuff like that. You got to be a little more discreet. Player A, player B. Do those kind of things.
Yeah. We'll have some fun ones. I'll think of some that I can share.
That's fine. That sounds good to me. But with that, as we always end it, we give you
push it real good.
Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.